My name's Jeff St. Laurent, and this is the Tuesday Live Show. Today's topic is managing guilt in your business. I feel guilty because I'm doing this, and I should be doing this. Guilt is a really big thing, especially when we're starting off in our business, and we're really trying and wanting to move our business forward. But life gets in the way, whether it's vacation, sickness, doing other things, procrastinating, whatever it is. So I'm going to talk about guilt today and share some things that I've done because I felt those same emotions. So break it down a little bit and give you some strategies and thoughts to help you out so you can be productive and enjoy whatever it is you're doing, whether it's your business or the other thing that's causing the guilt. I do record all of these live shows. I put them in my university at sellingcoaching.com. Check out my university. I help coaches transition to a full-time business, providing great insights and concrete work in terms of the structures, in terms of marketing, getting your business going, understanding your message, etc. If you want to start off right on the homepage of sellingcoaching.com, enter your name and email. That's going to not only put you in my email community, which is going to give you some great information on a weekly basis, but it's also going to give you my great audio resource, which is launching your coaching business or your full-time coaching business, the first 3 vital steps. So go ahead, check that out. And now let's talk about guilt. So first, let's understand where guilt comes from. And the way I would define it is guilt comes when there are 2 values in conflict with one another. We value working on our business. We value, let's say, having time with our friends and family. And those two values are in conflict with each other in a given time frame, whether it's on a weekend or during the weekday. And therefore, you feel guilty because you should be doing one, but you're doing the other. And while you're doing the other, you're looking back thinking you should be doing the other thing. You're really not enjoying either one or doing anything, and you're just feeling guilty. And at the end, it leaves you angry, it leaves you guilty and unproductive. That's pretty much what it is. So let's say it's a Wednesday, it's the middle of the week. You had plans to do work on your business. It's summertime, and your family, your friends, whatever, something's going on where they invite you and it's a beautiful day outside, everyone's going to the beach, and you don't get together with your family very much. It's someone's traveling in, it's the only day they can do it, but you had a nice big chunk of the day to work on your business. What do? Right? So there's the dilemma. So you say no to the opportunity to be with friends and family and have the day off, and you think, all right, I really need it, and I want to work on my business. I have the day planned. And then you do that, but meanwhile, you're feeling guilty because I really should be spending this time with friends and family. But then I go spend time with friends and family, and the whole time I'm there, I'm feeling guilty because I should be doing my business. So this is a real thing, and it happens quite a bit. This really paralyzed me very early on in my business. I've got a lot better viewpoint of it now. I got a better handle on it. It doesn't mean I don't ever feel guilty. It just means that I know how to handle it better. That's my hope with today's show, is to talk about that a little bit and some of the things that I've done. But this is a very real thing. As I work with one-on-one with my mentor coaching clients, in my groups that I work with, this is something that, especially in the beginning, this really comes up, especially when we don't have much, if any, momentum going in our business. Guilt I say, plays a bigger role. When you have your business going more and more, it's kind of gets to become more like a job. And I say more like a job mostly in the sense that, when you have your job, during the week, you might have vacation time, right? So if something comes up on a Wednesday and, you have work. It's just, I got to go to my job and I got to show up at 9 and I got to go home at 5, whatever your job is, right? So there could be less guilt around, a job where it's otherwise I take a vacation day. You either have a vacation day, or is this time off worth me taking a vacation day, right? It's more of a black and white decision. But if you have a job, typically, if something comes up and I got to work that day, I can't go, right? So it's very black and white. So there's really no guilt there. But when we have our own business, it's kind of I'm my own boss. There's no one telling me I can't take the day off, take the hour off, take the whatever, to do whatever it is I want to do. but I really should be, or I want to be working on my business, right? So therein lies the big dilemma. So the reason I say it's more challenging in the beginning, because in the beginning we don't have much, if any, momentum. We don't have much, if any, clients or have to do's in a given day or time frame. So if today I had planned to do X, Y, and Z, or I wanted to do it, there's no one saying you have to do it and get it done today. There's no hard and fast deadlines. Well, I could just take the hour off or come in a little bit later or leave early, take the day off, and I could do it tomorrow. That's if you do it tomorrow, right? But then that could be the cascading effect. So the reason I'm saying as you do your business more and more, it becomes more like a job. It's easier managing guilt because like today, my friend said, "Oh, can you go golfing this afternoon?" I said no because I got clients all day, right? And I've got stuff I've got going on. Or even with my marketing, like I might have clients, I work in the middle of the day, like tomorrow. Someone says, "Oh, we're gonna go to the beach, etc." Unless I plan ahead, I can't go. So it's more like a job for me because I've got clients, I've got work that needs to get done, work that has deadlines. If I take, a couple of days off, my client, support emails, my clients asking me for help and ideas and whatever else they're needing work on, that starts to build up, right? So there's stuff that's pulling me into my office, whether I like it or not, and so it's more like a job. So there's less guilt. It's like, well, I could be doing this, but I got work, and therefore it's easier to tend to that line and not have those values in conflict because, okay, well, if I know ahead of time, I can block the day off, etc. Like, for instance, this Thursday, we planned this a couple weeks ago. We're going to the beach with the family, and it's a big family gathering, and blah, blah, blah. We planned this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I made sure I blocked the day off and didn't have any clients or any obligations work-wise. And that made my other days this week, my Friday, my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a little bit more packed because I took all the stuff that I would do on Thursday and kind of moved it out. So therefore, now on Thursday when I go, I can be business free. I'll have done my work. I can feel good about it. And I've separated my values, and therefore I can be guilt free and enjoy the day. Therein lies, now how do we do this in the beginning? Because most of you watching this, listening to this are starting off, and so there isn't like the job sense yet. You all the stuff you gotta do, should be doing, want to be doing is all, there's no like deadlines for it. So it's like you do it today, you do it tomorrow, and if you don't, no one cares. You're the only one that cares right now. You're the only one that you're responsible or accountable to right now. It's that self-discipline. That's the hardest piece of entrepreneurship, or one of the hardest pieces, or the most challenging pieces of that. So now that we understand a little bit more about guilt and kind of where it comes from, and like I said, it's the conflict of values, right? I want to do this, I want to do this. It's in the same time frame. It could even just be not even wanting to, like a vacation or a day off type of thing. It could just be I'm sick, or a family member sick, my kid's sick. I got to take care of somebody. Someone's moving and they're asking for your help on that day. And oh, sure. So it's whatever. Maybe you're just tired, or you're not in the zone for your business, right? So there's a lot of things that you value that can come in conflict with you actually doing the work. So especially in the beginning, this is why, for those of you that follow me, those of you that work with me or will work with me at some point, I'm really big into office hours. And when I talk about office hours, really big into the start time. When do we get in our office? When do we leave our office? Leaving the office, just as important as getting into the office. So it's setting stronger boundaries with your business. And if I say it differently, since we're talking about guilt today, it's, if guilt is caused by a conflict of two values, right? We can't honor these two values at the same time, right? Let's say, family time versus business time, right? As an example, if we know it comes from that, setting boundaries for our work, for our play, for our whatever, but especially with our business, that can help because essentially we're setting boundaries with our values. You're saying during this time, I'm going to focus on my value of my business and my business growth. At this time, I'm going to stop focusing on that value, and now I'm going to move on to something else that I value. And what has helped me tremendously in my ability to be away from my business and not feel guilty especially in times of my life where my personal life was requiring more of me, more energy, more time. And it might even been not just time, but it might have just been more energy. Um, I had knee surgeries. I've gone through a divorce, as an example, right? Moving, selling homes, buying homes. I've got rental properties, so sometimes that calls me. Stuff going on with my tenants, etc. So it's a conflict of values, right? So it's a conflict of where I'm putting my time. And so as I've had those things throughout my life, there's been times where I've been pulled or more towards something else. It doesn't mean that I didn't want to do my business, but it was requiring more. What's helped me not feel guilty or release or lower my sense of guilt, like, oh, I really should be doing my business. Oh my God, I haven't been focused on my business for the last couple of weeks, etc. Is that when I have my business hours, I'm focused on them and I'm working. It's like the same thing as sleeping at night. There's nothing better than a hardworking guy or girl who sleeps real well, because they put in the work. You have a full day, you've put in the work, you've done it, you've accomplished, you've been productive in whatever it is you're doing. You feel better about yourself. You could sleep better. You could kick your shoes off at the end of the day and relax and feel good about it. There's no guilt like I should be doing more. I put in a full day's work. I did the best that I could. And within those boundaries, and it doesn't matter the volume of your boundaries or your office hours, it more matters how much time, energy, and intensity I was able to put into that time. And you're not always going to be 100%. Like, to me, if in a given time frame you can get a good 70% productivity, I think you're doing fantastic. I'm never 100% effective. If I can feel 70% effective on most days, like that's pretty good. So that's what I'm saying with you right now is the biggest thing that I can give you that will allow you to, I'd say, curb the guilt or start to release it, is knowing where your boundaries are, knowing when you're going to be working. And then I say set boundaries because if you're going to be putting work in, and let's say in a given time frame on a given day, and then something else comes up that's requested of you or needed of you within those time frames, you're treating your business more like a job. Like, all right, well, I got to go to work, right? If you got a job, well, I can't do it because I've got to go to work, And then and if you're considering taking a day off from work, well, how do you make that up, right? So if I've got business hours scheduled and something comes up, and some things come up where it's just like we can take advantage of the fact that we are a business owner and we are our own boss, right? There is an advantage to that. You just can't take advantage of it to the point where you're abusing it. Well, you can, but that's when you feel guilty. So when you're more consistent with that, when you're doing the work on a consistent basis, at the end of the day, at the end of your boundaries that you set up, at the end of your business hours, you can feel better about doing other things. Then when you have to cut into your business hours or take more time away than wanted or needed or as usual away from your business, that's also allowed me to feel better about it because I've been doing the work. Or when I have the time for my business, I do the work and I'm focused. I used to spend way more time in my office than was necessary because I felt I had to. But then sometimes I would almost feel guilty for being in my office because, oh geez, it's the summertime and I could be spending time with my son, or I could be spending time with my significant other. I could be just relaxing. It's a beautiful day outside, etc. And sometimes I would spend more time than needed in my business. So it works both ways. Sometimes when you get your business going, and so this isn't just about not being in your business. This is also, about spending too much time in your business, where you're focusing too much on it, and now you're not working out, you're not spending time with friends, family, children, etc. You're not having hobbies or things that you do, to make you happy, or to maybe that word balance in your life, right? So that you can come into this space and feel really focused. Sometimes the guilt can be the fact that I don't have any of that stuff, and sometimes, especially in the beginning, we feel like, oh, I've got to grow my business, I got to spend more time in it, and that's going to make it grow. And not necessarily, we can only spend so much time doing this. But obviously, as you start to create some momentum, it's going to be calling more and more of you. That's going to be even more important. I'd say more important, just as important to be setting those boundaries. That end time. When you've got things going in your business and you're excited about it, you've got some great momentum. The start time isn't a problem at that point. The end time becomes a problem, because when do I shut things off? When do I say I'm done and I'm moving forward? I do that a lot. I've got to do that a lot with my clients. It's a Friday afternoon or whatever, or, and I get an email from a client. I'm like, oh, and I want to answer it, but then I'm like, listen, I'm getting out of my office, and I'll email them back and say, listen, you know what? Thanks for your email. I'm heading out of the office for the weekend. Is this something that's urgent, or can it wait till Monday? And I set those boundaries. And then if a client said, oh no, I was really hoping you could get back to me, I'd find time, or maybe I can have an extra 5 minutes or 10 minutes to do something, or maybe there's going to be some downtime on the weekend where, of course, I can get to it, right? But I set my boundaries. It's not like I can't answer it. It's just I'm getting out of the office. I'm respecting that boundary. And in order to do that, I've found by communicating is important. And therefore, for me, as if I just didn't answer it, I would feel guilty, because I feel like I would want to answer it. And so what I do is I ask for permission, right? And it's not like, oh, I need permission, but to me, it's just a respectful thing to do, right? So that's a big thing, especially when you're booking clients, things like that. It's like, oh, that doesn't work for me. Like some people ask, oh, do you work on the weekends? I say no. But here's what works for me, and I set that boundary. I used to not have those boundaries, and I would just take a client at any point, right? Again, my stop time was compromised, but then that started to make me feel guilty, because I wasn't taking the time to spend with the stuff that makes me whole as a person, that I value outside of my business. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Hopefully that gives you something very concrete. I wanted to give you something concrete today with the office hours and the boundaries and how it works. So that you can start implementing this. And again, it ultimately comes down to your discipline and self-accountability, which is a big challenge. But that helps you start to work on it. So hopefully it's been helpful for you. And let me know in the comments some of your biggest takeaways, any questions, or just say hi so I know that you're there. But until next week, begin to apply this and